Well, back in 1887, it was John Emmerich Edward Dahlberg Acton, Lord Acton, who originally wrote, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men." You believe that? I can't stop but think of this incredible clip by Howard Beale from the movie Network.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
And part of the whole issue, I mean, the late great USA, which I wrote, and we've now put it out in paperback. It became a huge hit because it didn't get very much attention in the mainstream media. In fact, everyone tried to do with it what they could to discredit it and get no one to read it. We've reissued it in paperback, and in the new epilogue, I've said basically that our mission has got to be to continue to expose this agenda, because what the globalists can't stand, whether it's Brzezinski or Zbigniew Brzezinski or Henry Kissinger,
is the light of day.
The light of day, and that's why what Alex is doing with his show, with George, what you're doing with your show, the light of day is the one agenda the globalists cannot stand. Because when the American people know there's a conscious plan here, and it really doesn't matter who's in the White House. I agree with Alex. Obama will be as much a puppet. Look, Obama had in this legislation, this $1 trillion legislation, a Buy American provision, until the globalists objected. Canada said, wait a minute, we export steel to the United States.
Yeah, well, there was a treaty between, as you know, the SPP and the European Union, so they had to pull it out. That shows the power of this global government. And let me just throw this in here because it's important. And I'm not trying to toot our horn, but Dr. Corsi's done his research, George Norrie's done his research, I've done my research. We get attacked for writing books and making films about this. Dr. Corsi, through the lawsuit with Judicial Watch, got the documents that's in the late great USA of the SPP meeting in Banff, Canada a few years ago. And what do they say? We've got to keep this secret from the public. We've got to have a carbon tax. We've got to use crises, economic and terrorist, to bring in the North American Union and to remove the local governments. And we've got to keep this secret from Congress. My film, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, folks, it's free on Google Video, or get the DVD at Infowars.com. This is powerful info. I got attacked for Endgame when I had their own documents. My whole point, and I commended you last week myself on my website, Dr. Corsi, because you took a lot of heat for the late great USA. Everything you had in there was documented, and now, Dr. Corsi and George, I want to ask George this question. Why do you think suddenly, if you type New World Order into Google and click news, not web, but news, thousands and thousands of mainstream articles come up telling us, yes, world government's here, but it's a good idea.
Yes,
this is a big issue to have the establishment, after all these years saying we're nuts and kooks, they're now suddenly admitting it, but saying it's the solution.
Jerry, you wrote a month ago in WorldNet Daily, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who seems to be involved in everything, by the way, reaffirmed his call for the incoming Obama administration to use the current financial crisis to create a new world order. That's frightening.
He said that on MSNBC. I've got the clip of Kissinger saying it.
And he wrote an article. He published an article internationally which said, basically he wants a new world order. I also, George, reported on Klaus Schwab, who is the head of the Davos World Economic Forum. And he was interviewed on CNN. I watched the interview and taped it. And he said this economic crisis is a transformational crisis. He said it needs to be utilized to shape a new world. In other words, it was a clear indication that this contrived economic crisis, which could easily have been prevented. I mean, the housing bubble was encouraged by Greenspan, holding interest rates at 1% in 2002 and 2003. I've just watched CNBC had a special called House of Cards, and they interviewed Greenspan, and Greenspan pretty much acknowledged that he was caught unawares by the subprime.
Well, let me ask you both this, and this is kind of far-fetched, but it's kind of coast. Star Trek, the Federation, you had all these governments from these various planets getting together for the good of humankind, okay?
UN conditioning, yeah.
Tell me on the face of that. I used to watch Star Trek religiously. We had Bill Shatner on the show months ago. It looked like a great idea in that TV show and in the films. How come it's not good in real life?
Please let me take that first.
All right.
It's a great question because we're not setting up world government according to democratic principles. This has been done by stealth. We could debate whether we want to move to the next level of world government or a federation of nations. The problem is this has been done by stealth by the children and grandchildren of the robber barons, the international bankers, and it is the Financial Times of London last month ran a headline, and it's published by Mr. Wolf, one of the Bilderberg Group members, titled, "And Now for World Government." And the article said, yes, we kept world government secret from you. Yes, it's authoritarian. Yes, it's non-democratic. And we're doing it for your own good. And what Dr. Corsi was just saying about how it was Alan Greenspan, it was Geithner, it was Summers, the very people that changed the rules in the 90s to allow the subprime and the derivative scam to happen are the ones now in the Obama administration saying they're going to save us. Go ahead.
Well, and I want to point out, George, the New World Order, the way it's being done today, is for Old World Order purposes.
Yes.
Yeah.
On both the left and the right. I mean, the left says, well, we'll just have a world revolution, a socialist society. I mean, it's like a reworked Marxist idea. And on the right, they say, well, it's like a fascist idea. The multinational corporations are what the state is about, and we'll just have the corporations rule the world. So that's why they have to do it for stealth purposes, because their agenda is basically dishonest and old world.
Yes, exactly. It's going back to the power behind the throne, autocratic plutocracies. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of William Shatner. I want to say hi to him. I'm not trying to demonize him because he's involved in a show that has the UN symbol for the International Intergalactic Federation. The whole point is, Dr. Corsi's right. This is being done by stealth, covertly, deceptively. I mean, look at the agenda of the New World Order crowd. They want one-child policies, eugenics. They want all of us very poor, controlling our education, further brainwashing us with social engineering. And that's why world government is bad, because these guys are setting it up.
Well, and George, you bring in Star Trek.